morning from the Oceania Nautica. We're getting towards the...
Oceania Nautica, right.
Got it right that time. We're getting towards the end of our cruise. We still have a couple days, but this is our last sea day. So we're going to take some time to summarize a few notes that'll go at the end of our videos on these topics. So let's talk about food. You want to talk about food?
I probably gained a little weight.
Let me just start out by saying we know food is a subjective topic. So what you're going to get here is our opinion, nothing more.
Yeah, if you are booking Oceania, you'll see that their tagline is the finest cuisine at sea, and well, some would say yes, others would say no, but it is very, very good.
It is very good. Agree with that. And quite frankly, we haven't tried enough cruise lines to know how it compares.
Yeah.
That being said, if you're someone who likes food, who likes to try new dishes, who likes good quality food,
Yeah.
You're not going to be disappointed. In the grand dining room, there were always lots of options, plus staples that were always there. Sides that were almost the size of main dishes. That pasta I had last night
Yes.
was delicious, simple, but it's delicious and big.
And many of the dishes were small, so you could have a variety of things and try them. And they would gladly bring you more if the one dish, you could order two of the main if you wanted.
Exactly. And when I say the pasta was a big dish, it was bigger than I expected for a side.
Yeah, it was supposed to be a side dish. But yeah, overall, I mean, there was probably a couple things disappointing. You had a waffle that was very...
Yeah, that I would say that was the one
bad.
thing that came, and I said, I can't eat this. I don't know what happened, if that station in the kitchen wasn't working well that day, if they grabbed it off the buffet, but they were undercooked, they were soggy, and they were cold. So I just had something else.
But that was unusual. It kind of looked like a toaster waffle that got cut in half. But
it kind of did.
But
that was unusual.
An
that
exception.
Was very much an exception. And some things, for example, I ordered potatoes gratin. So I thought cheesy potatoes, right, of some sort. I'm used to them being kind of like sliced and the cheese melted in. When they came, it was like sliced potatoes and a layer of cheese, kind of like a lasagna melted just on the top. It wasn't what I was expecting. I didn't really care for it, but it wasn't bad.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes what the chef's interpretation and yours is two different things.
Exactly. And you're talking about international food preparation and international chefs. So, again, food's subjective. Themed nights. If you like nights that are Mexican, Indian, Polynesian, whatever, you're going to find a lot of that up in the Terrace Cafe, and it'll be in the Currents, the daily paper, every day, so you know how to plan. But if you don't want to go to the buffet, because Terrace is a buffet,
right.
We found that every night they had theme nights up in Terrace that we had similar items on the menu. Like the night it was Polynesian themed, we had one of the starters was coconut with Tahitian vanilla and little shredded coconut on it. Did I say coconut? It was pineapple.
Pineapple with coconut on it.
Pineapple with coconut on it. So yeah, you're always going to find that kind of stuff. Polo. Let's talk about the specialty restaurants.
Looking down at the notes right now.
Yeah, we made a few notes so we wouldn't forget. First of all of the specialty restaurants on Oceania ships are included in your fare. You're not paying extra. You're not getting in there after paying an upcharge to go to a specialty restaurant and seeing, but if I want this dish or that dish or another dish, I'm going to pay more. That's one of the things that we really liked. We knew if we wanted to go to these restaurants, we could. And I'm glad we did. So there's two on Nautica because it's one of the smaller R-class ships. Polo Grill, steakhouse, plain and simple.
Yep. I wanted to mention on the specialty restaurants, they are, as we said, they are included, but you do need to make reservations. We reserved 2 nights in each. We could have done more based on availability or done it on the ship. We did find there were cancellations. We had some rough seas the one night, so there were more openings.
Well, and one thing I will say, because talking to a couple people on the first day, they were unable to get reservations before they got onto the ship. We didn't have any problem on that. If you're booking, check your information, stay tuned to the emails coming in from Oceania, and they'll tell you today is when you can get online and book your specialty restaurants. How many you can do at that time is going to depend on your cabin class.
But I wouldn't fret too much if you don't instantly get what you want, because there's a desk you can go to, and I think almost every day I saw people there.
Yeah, and we changed 2 of ours. One of ours we changed to include a lady who was traveling solo that we had met and gotten friendly with, and so we said, let's have dinner together. So we were able to change that. And then towards the end of the cruise here, we decided we wanted to change our last one from the night it was booked to another night, and the time changed. I think it's actually earlier and a better time for us.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a problem. So polo, go for the beef.
Mm-hmm.
You tried the surf and turf.
Surf and turf the first night, excellent tenderloin, beef tenderloin that I had. The lobster I thought was not exactly to my liking. I thought it was a little overdone, but it tasted good. But others, I talked to other people that had it, and it wasn't that. So it was just maybe that night.
Might have been that night. Might have been your situation. Who knows? And that's one of the things I would emphasize on the food is you can get something that's not quite right. If it's not quite right, they, will redo it. But yours wasn't.
It was
not
just,
that bad.
I thought, a little overdone for lobster. Like if I overdo shrimp, it starts to get a little
Rubbery-ish.
It wasn't really rubbery, but
The second night, we both had the prime rib, which was outstanding. Tip, it shows a queen cut at 16 ounces and a king cut with the bone in at 32 ounces, which I saw one. It's a roast to feed 4 people. But if you ask, they do a princess cut, and that was probably
more beef than we usually
more
eat.
beef than we usually eat. It was probably about 10 ounces.
Yeah, we just don't eat that much beef at once, so that's us.
Yep. The other specialty restaurant is Toscana. It's an Italian-themed restaurant. We still have one more night to go. If that turns out to be a total disaster, we'll come back and edit some more in. I'm not expecting that. The first night was outstanding.
It's so far my favorite of
Yeah.
the 2 specialties.
The bigger ships have 2 more. Maybe someday we'll try those out. But
We'll
for
see.
now, we're just talking about these. There are a few clips out online. We'll show some pictures when we do the video that this will be at the end of. But I will tell you this. There are 10 sommeliers on board. The sommelier in Toscana, her name is Maria. She's one female amongst the 10. And in our opinion, she is the best sommelier on this ship, and probably, I think was even better than the sommelier we had at Picasso in Las Vegas.
I think so.
She was fantastic.
And in all fairness, did have at Polo the first night, the sommelier was okay, but he was more interested in upselling me from my beverage package to a bottle of wine. And when I asked about full bodied, he said, well, no, you can't get that. You need to get a bottle of wine. And at that point I said, well, I may as well try a bottle of their wine, but I didn't. I also later had the wine by the glass, and a California Cabernet with beef, and it was perfect for me. I'm not a super high-end wine person, but I like a good wine. So.
And his upselling was the only on this
Yep.
whole 16-day cruise. Well, we're in what, day 15,
Yeah,
I think.
but I did want to mention it in all fairness, try to give the overall good, but if there was some negative,
Yeah.
just so you know.
But yeah, that whole upselling, the nickel and diming you hear about on some cruise lines, didn't exist here for the most part. Seating, you can choose to share or not share, and in general they will ask you, particularly in the grand dining room, the two specialty restaurants they set up ahead of time, but they'll ask you, are you happy to share? And if you are, that night, that lunch, cool, they'll put you with someone. We met some very interesting people, had some lovely conversations. Mike from South London, the retired cop, was pretty fun.
Well, South London transplant to Florida, I think
Yeah,
he was.
yeah, now he lives in Florida, so he's been a hoot. The last thing for this, let's talk the beverage package real quick. In our case, we were still under the old Simply More at Sea. I don't know, the name keeps changing.
Not there anymore anyway.
Which had the wine, beer, champagne at lunch and dinner, however much you wanted included. And then we had upgraded to the full beverage package. Now that doesn't exist.
There's
what they
new
have now, I can't remember the name on it. It's $69.95 a day, and obviously if there's two people in the cabin, you have to buy it for both people. But that includes pretty much everything. It's coffees, it's soft drinks, and coffee, soft drink, that sort of stuff you get anyway, even if you don't have a beverage package. So really, when you're talking a beverage package on Oceania, it's alcohol.
Right. Depends on what you want to drink and what you don't want to
right.
drink.
Just to give you an idea, wine and champagne ran from about $12 to $18 a glass, and the cocktails, unless you're going to a really premium spirit in it, ran from about $14 to $20. So,
well, yeah, and with the package, we could have, I think, almost everything.
We could have everything. The only thing it didn't include was bottles of wine, and that we did get with the old beverage package was a 20% discount on bottles of wine. I don't have those details at my fingertips. So.
No, he showed it to us, but I mean, for a restaurant, it wasn't a bad price, but just I didn't need it with the beverage package.
Right. So, but anyway, overall, food's been great.
Yep.
Service in the dining rooms has been fantastic. Breakfast almost every day in the grand dining room if you want it, or at Terrace Cafe, or in Waves, which is kind of a grab and go. And if you go up to Horizons, they have coffee service all day long.
Coffee, tea. I think there was some juice there, and some juice,
some milk, and they usually had snacks. A couple days they weren't there when we were under the really severe transmission stopping protocols. But that's a whole different story. We'll talk about that at a different time.
We had some illness going around the ship, but we're still surviving. So.
All right. See you later.
Bye. Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit the like button if you enjoyed this video.